Listen. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. It is Dallas week. We're 1-2. The sky is falling, but everything can be remedied with a win against Dallas. KDot, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. No more dreams about Rachel McAdams. So,
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I guess it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Imagine.
I was so happy.
Have you ever had like 3 days in a row, same celebrity, let's say, every dream? It's like you were genuinely going back to the same place. And it's like, okay, Rachel and I got married. Now we're on our honeymoon.
I'm not for same celebrity, but I've absolutely had recurring dreams or continuations of dreams in consecutive days. But that was what I used to keep a dream journal and everything. I used to
keep a dream journno.
I worked for months at getting being able to lucid dream, and I got it figured out. It was yeah.
We're gonna talk after the pod. I also kept a dream journal that was my senior project in high school, was lucid dreaming.
No shit.
So yeah, okay. So we got our topic. So that's after the pod if you want to listen to some lucid dreaming stuff. But this is a sports podcast.
Yes.
Right. And it's Dallas week. And what we have for you is the Commanders offense against the Cowboys defense. And it's a huge matchup. We've got the Commanders defense against the Cowboys offense led by Cooper Rush, but he is now 3-0 as a starter. So we're going to get into that. Dive into the injury report as we do both those segments, give you our predictions, get to the comment mailbag as we always do, and then, we'll go after the pod, and apparently we're going to be talking about lucid dreaming. So, KDot, let's begin with the Commanders offense, which completely sputtered against the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about it last week. The Eagles had 3 sacks entering that game. They got 9 on Sunday against us.
Yep.
9. We are now playing the Dallas Cowboys, who are number 1 in the NFL in sacks. And the line is still a little banged up. Wes Schweitzer has not practiced the last couple of days in concussion protocol. Who knows? Nick Martin, Zach Martin's brother, Zach Martin being a lineman for the Dallas Cowboys, is in line to start at center right now. So, makeshift line, offense sputtering, really good defensive line for Dallas. What are your thoughts on this side of the ball?
Terrified.
Crazy.
We talked about it last week, and I think that we got bogged down in the Scott Turner of it all from my perspective, in the sense of what it is I think we need to do to be eliminating the pass rush, in the sense of like the short throws, things like that. But yeah, that wasn't the only reason that the Giants were able to get the 9 sacks, right? So, like, it's Carson Wentz holding on the the Eagles were able to get 9 sacks. It's Carson Wentz holding on the football so goddamn long. And if you really look at it from the all-22, there were a lot of cases of receivers just not getting open early enough, right? So, that being said, what gave me hope is actually watching the Giants-Cowboys game the other night. The first drive by the Giants in that game was identical to everything I've ever been asking this season for Scott Turner to do with the offense. I think Daniel Jones started out like 5 of 5 or 6 for 6 on that drive. Nothing but short, get our guys in space and move it up the field. And that's what they were doing the entire way. And they were eating. Ball was getting out quick before the pass rush could get to Daniel Jones. And then it was it bogged down when they had him drop back to try to throw the ball downfield. He didn't have enough time. Before you know it, was 4th down. Then they got the field goal block. But that drive up until that point, I look at that, like, Saquon Barkley's probably better than anybody that we have on our team. I don't think anybody would argue with that necessarily from a skills position standpoint, right? But the variety and the diversity of what it is we can do when you put the ball in some of these playmakers' hands, be it Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, if we can scheme up enough to get these guys space at least early to just make something happen on the ground, I think is the key recipe to getting something done against this defensive line, who should under all circumstances, be able to eat all day long if we have an offense that looks anything like what we had in the Philadelphia game.
Yeah, I agree with the assessment. And in fact, it would also take away Trayvon Diggs, who is a ball hawk. I mean, he led the league in interceptions last season, mostly due to bad throws, right? Like they're getting to the QBs so quickly that if it's not right on the money, he's a ball hawk. He's going to get one. He got one against us last year. So for more reasons than one, more than just the pass rush, it also will help neutralize the Cowboys secondary. I completely agree with you there, KDot. Looking at the injury report for the Cowboys, they're largely healthy. The only guy that did not practice the last 2 days, Dak Prescott, and he's not going to play. So like we are playing a full force Cowboys defense over here. A question I have for you. So it seems like, yeah, quick passing makes sense. And I mean, if you think about it, in that first game against the now high powered Jacksonville Jaguars, how about them? Just smoking the Chargers, smoking the Colts. Sucks. It's starting to look like a good win. Yeah, it's a total indictment on Urban Meyer. But it was the Curtis Samuel show, right, against them in the first quarter. And yeah, he fumbled, but he was playing great. And he was getting the ball early and often in space. We need to do more of that. But is there any other way to sort of neutralize that pass rush? Should we have McKissick in more to help block, or should we have like a tight end in to block more? What do you think we should do there? Should we just go 5 wide and quick short passes, or do you think we should maybe max protect sometimes and do it that way?
I think it looks different than 5 wide. The most interesting things that I see from the Scott Turner offense is when he has multiple guys in the backfield, maybe a tight end lined up, guys are moving in motion pre-snap. It's that sort of thing. It's smoke and mirrors, right? It's a lot of razzle dazzle to get because I mean, that's the thing is like, you want that defense to have no fucking idea where the ball is going the next time around. And that to me is like that's the thing to unlock with this offense is, hey, Jahan Dotson has looked amazing. We know Terry McLaurin is amazing. Curtis Samuel, when given enough opportunity, gets the job done. I mean, he was targeted a lot in that Philadelphia game. I don't think it was a whole lot of success necessarily, but I don't think the balls were necessarily there the way they needed to be. Right. But and I also think they were still going a little too deep for Curtis Samuel, where he's more that Debo Samuel, just get him kind of on the wing and doing things, right?
Sure.
But that's what you want from this offense. You have the guys I named, plus Antonio Gibson, plus J.D. McKissick, all can catch a football. Under no circumstances should I know where, if I'm looking at the defense, where the fuck the ball's going to go this time. They need to be disguising things to make that happen.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. So here's my question. In terms of, we'll call it target priority. We haven't done this before, KDot, but in terms of target priority, you got McLaurin, you got Samuel, you got Dotson, Gibson, Logan Thomas. How would you rank those 5 in terms of most important to get the ball to maybe least important?
I think it's hard to say now because I haven't seen enough.
Okay.
I mean, that to me is like, I always want to say Terry's number 1 just because of how much talent I think he has. And going all the way back to last year and year before, I think they weren't creative enough on how they got him the football. So there's a part of me that thinks even in this, the Eagles game, what was his stat line by the end of? Didn't he have 100 yards?
You're talking about McLaurin? Yeah.
McLaurin. Yeah.
Yeah. 102.
Yeah, after not getting targeted for like damn near the first half, right? So it's like once you get him the ball, things happen. And that to me is always, to me, I think Terry McLaurin has the makings of being a top 5 receiver in this league if they get him the fucking football.
I would agree with that.
And so that to me is like, he should be your number 1 thing as far as getting the ball to him. If I had to go number 2, I'd probably say Curtis Samuel just because the versatility. In the sense of just how it is that he can get the rock. And then right there with him, like 2A, 2B is Antonio Gibson, who I think they need to be more creative in how they get the football to. Look, J.D. McKissick, we need to figure out a way to send his ass to Buffalo for nothing in return. Okay? And it's no knock on J.D. I love him. He does great in the pass blocking, things like that. But with Brian Robinson coming back, I think he kind of phases out. And the guy that I want kind of phased into that J.D. McKissick role is Antonio Gibson. We know he was a receiver in college. You see what he was able to do week 1. I think it was week 1 with the Jacksonville game where we were getting the ball a lot. That is what you want to see from Antonio Gibson. And more along those lines, especially with Robinson coming back in, knowing where it is that he's going to be in the fold going forward.
Right. I think that's very, very well said there, Kate.
Oh, and Rodgers, the tight end.
Oh, Armani.
Get him the ball.
Yeah,
Get
I would
him
agree.
the ball.
I still think it's a different person than the guy we saw in preseason because he had wheels when he got the ball in the regular season.
Bro, like every time he has the football, he looks special. Get him the ball. I need to see that more.
Like Cole Holcomb special? Like what are we talking about here?
There's been enough tape of Cole Holcomb for us to know who he is, Amit. You just took a leap that no one needed you to take. Okay? No one needed you to do that. We like Cole Holcomb just enough. Okay?
I made a huge mistake.
He's a starter on this defense. I don't think anybody would have a problem with him being a starter on the defense. They just need other guys around him.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So that's that side of the ball. Let's flip the script, as we always do. Let's talk about the Commanders' defense that actually, to me, had a pretty decent game against the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about how the Eagles got off to a pretty slow start. And then, yes, I mean, when it rains, it pours, in that situation. But Commanders' defense against the Cowboys' offense led by Cooper Rush. Now, initially, you would think Cooper Rush, that's a joke. Whenever you're talking about a backup QB, it's sort of like okay, well, this should be a win. The man is 3-0 as a starter, and he's led 3 fourth quarter either comebacks or they're tied game-winning drives. So he's more or less figured out how to win an NFL game. He has not lost an NFL game as a starter. KDot, this side of the ball looks enticing on paper, but knowing what we know, what do you make of it?
It could be a very long day. We have not look, the Philadelphia game, I think we did a fairly good job on defense, knowing that the offense couldn't stay on the field to sustain anything. The defense was gassed as shit, and we were we had guys on the defensive line play a bunch of snaps, a significant portion of snaps, who weren't on the team the week before. It was a hell of a day. But I think there were certain things that we saw in that game that we're kind of learning that maybe going forward. And I'm not seeing the injury report here for the game. But William Jackson didn't play last week, correct? That was Will Jackson.
Oh, right. Will Jackson did miss the game, right? Because then we got Rashad Wildgoose playing. That's right.
Wildgoose. And Fuller just getting beat.
He's just not having a good season so far.
But what it showed me, Fuller needs to go the slot. St. Juice can now play on the outside.
Hey, he can play.
Look, it's the same thing
to play. Yeah.
Unless you are a bona fide stud coming into the NFL, if you're a defensive back, and even when you're a bona fide stud, sometimes it's the case, you have to struggle at the defensive back position in order to learn what to do and what not to do.
Yep.
St. Juice looks like he's been out there getting burnt enough that he's finally starting to put it together, right? Mm-hmm. So there are some things that I'm looking at as far as the secondary that they need to get the politics out of it as far as how much they're paying certain people and just put them in the best possible position, which is what I think we saw a lot of last week, is kind of adjusting. All right, this is where certain guys need to go, and maybe they'll have more successful that way. So there's one thing. Hopefully the defensive line, with another week gone, they feel healthier than they were last week. That's the only thing I can really hope for there.
Yeah.
There's the talk about how much Montez Sweat is getting double teamed, which is allowing guys like Payne and Allen to eat. Fine, regardless. The D line, look, you guys have done a fairly good job, especially with run support right now. The rush defense overall has looked pretty good as far as the yards per. What you see in all the games is that we get gashed for a significant long play or a long run, which terrifies me because there's a guy in the Dallas backfield. His name is Tony Pollard. That'll make your ass pay. So, I can see the rush defense doing a good job, but we have to limit those big plays. Those game-changing turn, it's nothing to see us have them start a drive of their own 20. Pollard breaks off a 58-yarder, and now we flip the field, and it's what the hell. And then we're in a terrible position, right?
On the subject of Tony Pollard, real quick, do you know how many yards per carry he's averaging right now?
It's got to be something stupid. Wasn't it like 8 or something last?
Well, it was. Now it's at 5.6, but that is an insane average. I mean, when we traded for Clinton Portis after his first 2 years with the Broncos, and I mean, it was a second rounder in Champ Bailey. We can talk about that another time.
After we do our predictions, just let me have 30 seconds of my Agent of Chaos theory.
Sure. Okay. I'm looking forward to that as well. But the point is, I mean, when we were trading for Clinton Portis thinking he's going to be, top 3 running back all the way through. 5.5 yards. Pollard 5.6, and they're balancing him with Zeke. They've sort of figured out, hey, an even split makes a lot of sense. And it also allows Cooper Rush to be protected by the run game, if you will, right? Because if they're running it effectively, we've got the, analysts talking about play action being effective, regardless of whether the run's going or not. It's not about play action. It's about if you genuinely have to play the run because it is going well, it does slow down the rush. They are taking hits with those plays. Like it does matter. So stopping the run, incredibly important. I'm sorry, I did cut you off, but
no, you're good. No, that's the salient point.
Yeah. Point being, these guys, like Cooper Rush being 3-0 is also a product of a very good run game that they've had all the way through. Cooper Rush himself has not taken a game by storm yet, Right. So I think a key is make him. Because if you do, and he beats us that way, fine. Because I don't think he's proven that yet. And just one more point on the offensive side of the ball for us. I looked at the 3 games Cooper Rush played, right? So that's going to be against Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. It's going to be Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, and it's going to be against Daniel Jones, of course, the New York Giants. Not one of them had a passer rating above 90. So the defense is stepping up. The run game is going well. What does that sound like? Sounds like Redskins football from back in the day. That's what it sounds like. So but that's what they're doing while Cooper Rush is there.
The thing is, they're not lighting it up on the scoreboard because I think what you'll figure out is that Jerry Jones made an error in the sense of getting rid of Amari Cooper and relying the entire offense to CeeDee Lamb as far as the passing game. And we even saw in the Giants game, you had CeeDee with some really like a terrible drop at one point.
And then a spectacular catch.
Spectacular catch there, right? But so, like, there is that element of let Cooper Rush beat you. But I think more than that, it's the coverage needs to be there, Johnny on the spot, because if we allow what we've been allowing, which is that 5-yard out the Cooper hits, very accurate, can get the ball right out, CeeDee Lamb will make your ass pay and yak out the ass. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, do I think he's as talented as Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown? No, I don't. But in space, he's a problem.
Yeah.
He's a huge problem. And we even see like last year in a couple of those games where he'd have stutter steps, move back, do this like a human fucking joystick for first downs. We can't let CeeDee Lamb or those guys whoop our ass in that 5 to 10 yards and then getting the yak. It's the thing we need to work on and be good at this entire season. It's the one thing that I've had the biggest issues with our defense the entire season.
So the Commanders' defense by now many people has been called predictable, has been called easy for modern offenses to figure out and dissect. That's from The Athletic, by the way, where they've named people that are anonymous sources that are just like, hey, it's easy, right? What adjustments, KDot, being a casual fan, ultimately, so I recognize that. Unless Del Rio, you're listening, which you may need to, because it's been tough recently. What adjustments would you make to make maybe CeeDee Lamb's life a bit more difficult when having Cooper Rush be the guy to beat you?
Stop being afraid to blitz, even with the secondary issues.
Love it.
Jamin Davis has looked good, and I know that some people are you were talking about even Grant Paulson trying to take away some of the credit for one of those sacks that he had.
Yeah, bullshit. Let him have it. He's a kid, man.
Davis can fly. And I think the thing that we've been doing is we've been playing a defense, which is let's hope our front four is talented enough to get there, and let's bend but don't break on the rest of the defense. And it's you bend too much, you already broke. And I think that's where we're at. There's no onus to dictate anything from the defensive play from the defensive players. And I think that's been my thing, that it was just like, hey guys, we're just trying to keep it at bay. We're just trying to keep the guys out of the end zone, right? And it's no, do something to dictate something, right? Start having Davis line up all over and take the fucking shot. Take a chance. Like, if he doesn't get there and the secondary's blowing shit, they've been blowing shit all year. So it's mostly Eagles game. But you got to take some of these shots. Like, the front four, as hard as they've worked to try to get there, They haven't been able to because they've been easy out so they can just get the 5 to 10 yards and quickly get out there. So let's leave them with no opportunity to do so. Bring an extra guy.
I love it. That's exactly the sort of adjustment I would make too. Let's see Cooper Rush under some fucking pressure. Right. Another good thing that he does, to his credit, he doesn't really take sacks. Like, he's taken very, very few sacks, and he's careful with the ball. So he is not winning the game, but he's certainly not losing you the game. I would love to put him in a position to lose the game. Right. He can win it. And maybe that's a good long-term thing for us, because then Cowboys fans continue to go, Cooper Rush should be starting over Dak. Like, you know, so maybe there's that if he ends up just burning the shit out of us. But ultimately, put this on Cooper Rush, because if Pollard and Zeke beat you, that is the most predictable way for them to do it. And it would be incredibly frustrating to know that we knew that and it still happened.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Prediction time. The Commanders are actually 3-point underdogs. We are on the road. That line makes sense to me, KDot. 3-point underdogs on the road. Cowboys favored by 3. Another way of saying that. Over under 41.5. Your prediction, your score. Throw in your player of the game too, just for fun.
28-24. Cowboys win. Cooper Rush is your player of the game.
The reason I'm laughing, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, you wouldn't have seen that, obviously. It's because I could totally see that happening. Here's the thing. I initially, when we did the schedule and stuff, had this as a loss. I think this whole sky's falling thing, we've played, as it turns out, pretty good teams so far, right? The Jacksonville Jaguars look like they could be a thing this year. The Detroit Lions lost a heartbreaker to Minnesota, but Minnesota's supposed to be all right this year, and Detroit hung with them. Okay, and they hung with the Eagles. And then we got the Eagles, who look like, you know, a Super Bowl contender right now. So with the Cowboys, this is the worst QB we faced so far. I think that helps the secondary a little bit. And it's at Dallas. I think we actually do pull this one out. I think it's actually kind of an awkward, low-scoring type thing. I think it's going to be 23-20 Commanders. Joey Sly hasn't really had the opportunity to try any kicks. He's going to get quite a few today. Well, today being Sunday. He's going to get quite a few on Sunday. So yeah, 23-20 Commanders. I think we pull it off. We start feeling good. Chase Young's on his way back. Brian Robinson's on his way back. And all of a sudden, we're going into week 5 going, could have ourselves a season. So that's what I'm seeing. Just over. Both of us have the over. KDot's got the Cowboys. Don't blame him at all. And
I think
I've
it could
got
be
the
a lot
Commanders.
worse.
Player of the I absolutely think it could. I think player of the game is going to end up being Jahan. I think he ends up making a couple big plays, and I think he makes one to get us into field goal range at the end. So I think that's what ends up happening. Jahan Dotson is your player of the game. I would love for it to be Jamin Davis, but I think it's going to be Jahan Dotson.
Like, so far, if we do lose against the Cowboys, which, look, I'm hoping we don't. I'm hoping we get this win. Yeah. We're one game behind where I thought we would be. The only game I thought would end up differently is the Detroit Lions game. And I thought this was our opportunity for a run with the Titans, Bears, and Packers and Colts coming up. Okay. For us to win some of these games coming up. And I do think, regardless of whatever happens to the Cowboys game, Titans and the Bears are both winnable fucking games.
Still run potential. Yep.
So I'm still very much, we're in this thing, right? But I was telling you my Agent of Chaos theory. Briefly mentioned it.
Yep.
So I've been predicting on another show that I do, the All Sorts of Sports show, which we do more national sports, right? I've been predicting ever since Dak Prescott went down that there'd be a Cooper Rush quarterback controversy in Dallas. And it's already started. Skip Bayless, 15 minutes after the game. Well, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Cooper's looked better than Dak has over his last 10. The idea that Cooper Rush and our boy Tony Pollard could be starting over all the money Jerry Jones has wrapped up to Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, to me is incredible. And I want to see it happen so fucking bad. And I do believe while Dak Prescott, they finally have had him on the practice field. He hasn't actually really practiced, but he's been throwing the ball a little bit. If Cooper Rush wins this game, you have a full-blown media frenzy, fucking quarterback, terrible controversy in Dallas, where the only reason there's any controversy is Cooper Rush looks the way he does and Dak Prescott looks the way he does in that goddamn state and in that stadium.
I swear it is one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And honestly, if we were to lose, so long as I'm promised a full-fledged QB controversy, and I was going through Twitter, KDot, it's growing. Like this Cooper Rush crowd is growing because they're going
great value. Tony Romo 2.0. Do you remember when Tony came out?
Yeah. No. They absolutely adored him. They loved him. And the thing about Cooper Rush is they're going, hey, he knows how to win. Right? Like he's doing the right things for our team. He's allowing people to shine and he's helping us win. Dak, a bit more flashy all of a sudden, according to the same fans who are just sick of losing with their high-priced QB, even though, to me, he's clearly better. I would love if Cooper Rush took over long-term. This could age poorly. Maybe this is on freezing takes, but...
No. I am so firm in my belief in this, because guess what, you fucking idiot Cowboys fans that are of the idea, under any circumstances, that Cooper Rush is better than Dak Prescott, which he clearly is not.
He is not.
Guess what they weren't doing when Dak Prescott's playing quarterback recently? Running a well-balanced attack with Tony fucking Pollard. That's the key, jackasses. That's the key.
You see it in sports all the fucking time. Sometimes someone gets hurt and the coaches are forced to coach properly. They are forced to do the thing they were supposed to do, but they got enamored with the toy that they had at a specific position. Happens all the time. Yeah. All the time.
You got Mike McCarthy, just a yes man for the Kellen Moore Jerry Jones show.
Dude, what a show that is. Let's jump over to the comment mailbag because we got quite a few comments this week, KDot.
Ooh, I have not looked.
Yeah, so we had a little over 100 views, but we got 10 comments. All right, so
I like those.
Love it. Love all of you. Really appreciate it. We're beginning with VA Money Group. Shout out VA Money Group.
Hey, quick. Hey, you guys that are commenting, love the comments. Keep it up. Share the pod.
Please do.
You gotta share the pod, share the link with everybody you know, or anybody you think might want to listen. We're trying to grow this thing, guys, and it's up to you. It's up to you guys to help us grow it. This family, this District Divided family.
It's a District Divided family, baby. And is it on us? No, it's on you.
Sort of. I'm putting all on them.
It's okay. We're just going to double down on that statement I just made. It's on you guys to grow this thing. KDot and I have no idea how to grow this thing. It's going to be up to you. Okay. But we love you guys. VA Money Group with I'm sorry. I tried to keep a straight face through all this.
No, it's good.
VA Money Group through with the very first comment. I was a stop down Ron supporter, but now I need Scott Turner to be end zoned. Okay. So
that means Scott Turner got to get a touchdown.
That? Yeah, well,
job ending.
No, it could be a safety positive or negative. I'm trying to figure that out, but VA Money Group, we love you, bud. Really appreciate the comment. We are going to continue to figure out. It sounds like he's no longer a Ron supporter. I was a stomp down Ron supporter, right? But now I need Scott Turner to be end zone. I think that means just finished. I think it was given the context of the Eagles game, maybe executed
or elevated to the end zone.
Oh, maybe that's what he means. Actually, not executed.
I don't know.
Now he's the head guy, right?
So, I'm not sure.
Actually, I think that might be it. VA Money Group, feel free to reply.
Please clarify
because
I have answers either way.
But I could see it going either way. But now that you mention it, I think Scott Turner is now head coach according to VA Money Group. That's what he would do.
Well, I will say this: Scott Turner had something that he said today that sounded better than anything I've heard from any of the coaches out of Ashburn in quite some time. Which is he took responsibility.
How nice is that? How nice is that?
It felt great.
Did you hear Ron when they asked him, why are you guys wearing all black uniforms? And he said, because we have them or something like that. That is it.
I thought he said a bit more than that. I feel like the media, I'm not one to blame the local media or anything. I just feel as though people are trying to be mean to Ron. So I've been trying to listen to everything in like the full context. But yeah, I think he did. I think he was. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll leave it alone.
We got Joe Taylor, who I believe may be a first-time commenter. Really appreciate the comment, Joe. Really appreciate it. What's the thoughts on Wentz smiling and laughing towards the end of the game. Game's end is the official verbatim response. What were your thoughts on that? Seeing Wentz smiling, we're getting our asses kicked against the Eagles.
I didn't see that, but this goes to, I'm not denying that it happened. Did you see it? I didn't see it.
I did. To me,
some awkward guy. I
was just pissed, right? Like, I mean, the way the game went, I was pissed. I imagine Carson was too, but no, I'm just gonna be honest. I was pretty pissed off about it. I wish he had maybe saved the smile for later. I get it. Their cameras constantly. Maybe there was just one moment he smiled and they caught it, and they were like, "This is great TV," because it is. But it's frustrating, right? You don't want to see that, but I guess I understand it.
Look, there's certain. We talked about it in the last episode of how awkward a human being Carson Wentz is, right? He wants to be liked. Awkward. I don't understand exactly where the context was and everything. If somebody said something, that was his way of kind of like casually laughing something off of awkwardness. He does strike me as a guy that in very awkward situations, a la that interview that they had with him that Jason Wright got all pissy about. There's these awkward smiles, and I'm going to laugh myself through this uncomfortableness. And I just think he doesn't have the social cues that most people have naturally. And that is part of the package when you're looking for the quarterback you want. You got to have a guy that has the intangibles and knows when to show certain things in front of other guys. It's all part of it, and that's something that he does lack, and there's no denying.
I would agree. VA Money Group replied, 28 mil. That's the amount of money that Carson Wentz is making this season, to which Joe Taylor then replies, yes, indeed, he has a $28 million smile. He needs to do a toothpaste commercial, which I really enjoyed the banter.
Lovely
there.
Ginger.
Yeah. Nice little banter there in the comment section. Really appreciate it. And then, of course, we transition over to Tony. Tony. Shout out Tony. With a couple comments. First one reads, I honestly thought we would win that week 3 game against the Eagles, but we trash. And there's the garbage can emoji. In year 3 of Ron Rivera, I'm realizing how much more the Panthers' success should have been credited to Cam Newton and not Riverboat. Once Cam regressed, the ship sunk. It's still sinking. I can't argue that right now. And Cam did have an insanely good year. One of the best years I think we've ever seen at the QB position. Was it Ted Ginn Jr. as his wide receiver 1, and they went 15-1 in the Super Bowl?
Sounds stupid. Yeah.
I mean, name me another QB that could do anything close to that.
Taylor Heineke. Sam Howell. I
love it.
Look,
I love it. He's got a point. Tony's got a point.
I get the sense that people don't necessarily agree with me on where I'm at with Ron right now. That being said, I never really looked at Ron as being the guy that's supposed to be the focal point on anything that's happening necessarily offensively or defensively scheming wise, as much as he's supposed to be the guy that brings forth. He's supposed to be a great delegator to me, is the kind of vibe that he gives and helps with things that are happening in Ashburn. I think he's nailed most of the stuff that's happening in Ashburn. But right now, as we're in this period where you're looking at some of these other teams that are having success, like Jacksonville and everything else, those are ones that they can really build around offensive-minded coaches or coaches that have a scheme or are excited about certain type of players. And that's not necessarily what Ron is. And yeah, there is a chance that we've reached a ceiling with what Ron can do with this, as far as what it is that he's bringing in the status quo, which is why I'm putting more of the onus on guys like Scott Turner that need to have the schemes and things ready to go with that. And I will say, I will be right there saying I want Ron Rivera's head if he doesn't make the adjustments to the coordinator positions in kind to get the best out of these players. So if this to me has been this season, to me is the litmus test. We're throughout last year because of what happened. 2020, we exceeded our expectations. This year is the no excuse year. And by the end of the season, I will have my judgment on what should happen as far as the coaching staff.
Fair enough. And so now here we are in year 3. It's typically known as a make or break year. We made the playoffs the first year with an abysmal record, but there we were. And then last year, you can understand the excuse. The expectation was Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be starting QB. He's out after basically a quarter, just one quarter of football for us. And Taylor Heineke, I think, filled in admirably, but we recognized he's a backup QB, and that's fine. But here we are. They got their QB. They've got a talented roster. If with this, I would say they do. We've talked about it.
The only pushback I give that to a little bit is that while I do think they have a fairly talented roster, and I do think over the last couple of years, they've turned some guys that have been middling to mad to something better than what it is, especially like offensive line, things like that. I do think defensively there is a lack of talent in certain key positions that we knew about this offseason and weren't addressed. And every time that they go back to address them, they've been going with a lot of young guys. Even Ron said it today. They want, like, why they go to Wild Goose instead of somebody that had more experience, or why they go to certain guys they've been hiring on the defensive line. That is something that I'm starting to get more criticism there for Ron. Look, there's one thing to be the team that develops through the draft. If you're going to do that, you can't miss on draft picks at all. But in combination of that, you have to make the right free agency signings. And I don't see us as a team that's making any of the right free agency signings.
I would completely agree with that. But it still is a talented roster at the end of the day. And
it's fairly
if it's not,
special offense
in certain areas, it comes down to the free agency signings. Like you said, it's like, well, you knew this was an issue. Why is this coming up now? Week 4, heading into Dallas week, which is still important to many, many fans. Why is this happening? Tony with another comment, and I fucking love this comment because Tony did the research on this one. Shout out, Tony. Thoughts on this? Here's the overall records of our winning culture. Ron Rivera, 91 and 83. Scott Turner, 62 and 92. Multiple positions since 2005. JDR, Jack Del Rio, 93 and 94. Martin Mayhew, 55 and 92. I would attribute a lot of that to the Detroit years, but still he's there, helping build that roster. Marty Herney, 106 and 132. Seems pretty bang average to me, right? So, and those are not only records hovering around 500 or typically below. The only one above 500 is Ron Rivera. The rest are below. JDR is right at around 50-50 there at 93 and 94. That's a lot of experience, right? That's the thing. That's a lot of experience. That's a ton of games. So you have, I wouldn't even call it a sample size. You have plenty to know that this may not be it. Maybe it is, but maybe not, right? Like, it goes back to what you said. Ron was here to right the ship from an organizational perspective. I believe he's done that more or less. But now that we're on the football stuff, go ahead.
We might hit a ceiling. I get that. And look, this, to me, the Ron Rivera hiring was what it is we were doing as far, I'd almost consider Mike Shanahan 2.0, in the sense of, here's a guy who has experience, knows what he's doing, trust and believe in him. He'll reorganize the organization and get it in the right way, get it going in the right direction, right? And the Shanahan era was terrible in the way that it ended. The way that it should have probably ended was Mike handing over the keys to Kyle, and Lord knows where he'd fucking be now. But there's like with Ron, I'd like to see him get to the promised land. I think it's possible? Yes. But I would not argue if we've reached, after this season, if we're just making the playoffs, if this, that, and the, I will not stand in anybody's way of saying, hey, it's time to move on to something else. Let's get somebody who has an idea of what to do with the roster that we have right now, like Mike McDaniels, in the way that he was excited about having a Tua, and somebody that looks at this and says, hey, that Sam Howell kid, yeah, I need him. That Brian Robinson or the Curtis Samuel, Jahan, Dotson, and Sarah McLaurin, I got a scheme for that.
Right.
And we'll see from there.
And we'll see from there. So, Tony, shout out for the 2 comments this week. Really appreciate it, and love that you put together the records for each of these guys. Really appreciate it. We move on to Pally for Life. Second time commenting over here, and I believe we've got the pronunciation correct this time because I now have a better understanding of who it is. It's still early, and this team could put it together, especially considering the schedule. But that game and the ambiance in the stadium was profoundly depressing, Monsieur X. Once again, really appreciate the comment there, Pally for Life. Your thoughts on that, KDot? I mean, the stadium being filled with Eagles fans. We didn't even talk about that, right? Not even on Misery Monday, I don't think. That was tough. That was tough to see. It tends to happen way too often over here.
That's the legacy of Dan Snyder. And that to me is the thing where, with this organization, especially in division games, losses feel worse than they should, because you're compounding it with all the other bad shit that's on top of it, right? And seeing that stadium as packed as it was, seeing us struggle with the fucking silent count in our own house, or having to go to a silent count in our own fucking house, is terrible. And look, I hate Philadelphia fans, Red Sox fans, Cowboys fans. Is the way that I think that my most hated fandoms in sports.
You
right?
hate Philly fans more than Cowboys fans.
Yes, but I hate the Cowboys organization more than I hate the Philadelphia organization.
Actually, now that I think about it, I'm probably in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say. Respect. They took 36 buses, put together a ticket package for the guys that come down from Philadelphia to Washington to go and fill that fucking stadium. I drove down that Sunday morning from New York, went past Philly to DC, and saw the amount of flags and everything. They had billboards up. Those fuckers did an amazing job. And I hope one day our fandom is along those lines and we have success so that we can feel that and go up to Philadelphia and pack their fucking stadium. But that's the legacy. No one wants to go to FedEx. I don't blame any of you for not wanting to go to FedEx Field. It's a long process and it's not a lot of fun when you get there. And that to me is the legacy that Dan Snyder and the mediocrity this team has had for years has left us. It feels worse when we lose.
No, have you ever been to I guess Commanders, but Washington football team, Redskins away game before?
Yes.
Where?
I've gone to Lincoln Financial. I also went to one game at the Vet before the Vet got demolished.
Were you at the game where Kirk Cousins kneeled just before halftime? Everyone was wondering where it was. But we ended up winning the division that day. He was dealing. It was awesome. I went there with a few friends. Shout out Bernal, Thomas, Christopher, Samir, Alon. It was a really, really fun trip. We somehow, through Craigslist, got tickets in the Skins section. We didn't even know it. And I mean, on the way over, we listened to the Bill Burr Philly rant. We were antagonizing as much as we could. We were getting beer bottles thrown at us, stuff like that at the end of the game because we were loud and obnoxious. And let me tell you, it is a great feeling. So those Eagles fans that got to come over here and enjoy that win, I get it. Fuck you guys, but I get it.
Now I had to take my jersey off in the Vet because we scored. And on the way out of the parking lot, had a D-cell battery thrown through the back of the window of the SUV I was in.
Oh, you're going to love this. I had a Deshaun Jackson Skins jersey on. It was real tough. I was like, yeah, we got your guy too. He just won a division over here.
The Vet, it felt kind of scary. And I was young, so I understood. Yeah, I'm taking this. I got told, take the jersey off. I felt kind of ashamed. But that's why up until last year, I never had a positive experience in Philadelphia. And it's usually because I was wearing my battle colors.
Yeah.
Same thing in Boston. Boston's like my second favorite city. Always looking about why I have such a hostile time there. I'm usually wearing a Yankee jersey.
I actually do really like Boston. It is a cool city. It reminds me of DC in some respects. Probably prettier, in my opinion, just because it's got the water and Cambridge.
Boston is San Francisco.
I haven't been to San Francisco, so I can't.
Boston's a cold San Francisco that's more that has racism.
Okay.
A lot more racism.
Yeah, no, that much I was able to pick up on.
Still my second favorite city. I almost moved there.
Despite that.
Hey, me and my ex-wife, we had a moving truck all packed up. We were going to move and it fell apart the night before we left.
How about it? Let's move on to David Abanye. Apologies if I got the name wrong, but shout out David. Really appreciate the comment over here. Here we go. It goes. As for Washington, you got Cooper Rush this week. It's 3 games in, therefore a win away from being 2-2. What's the problem? It's a long season with an extra playoff team. You got guys coming back. As long as Wentz gets the ball out rapidly, and that's a big point there, right? As long as Wentz gets the ball out rapidly, and don't be looking for the HR on a constant.
All
HR?
right.
Oh, appreciate it. Yep, that makes total sense. So remember when we did MLB? And I was thinking Major League Baseball this time, middle linebacker. I blocked all baseball. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't be looking for the home run on a constant. Thank you, kid out there. You'll be fine. But Carson needs to be coached up to let him know it's all right to take the check down. We talked about that on Monday.
He talked about that today.
Yeah. Audible to a draw play or a quick slant because that's what wins. A lot of football left, and that's why they're called win streaks. And I'm not a Washington fan, but I understand it's way early to throw in the towel rather than get the QB playing intelligently. That is a fantastic comment, David. Really, really appreciate that. I think summed it up
Echoing pretty much all of my sentiments. Like
perfectly. Yeah.
it's perfect, man. And look, Carson Wentz addressed that today when speaking to the media that he needs to do a better job of checking down. If you look at the all 22 of that game, there were some play. Like I said, there was a game that everybody has to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "What the fuck was that?" Because it's not me. That's not how I play. And Carson, there were so many times you look, he had Gibson in the flat that he could have hit, but was still looking downfield or looking at his first target that didn't get free quick enough. And he's got to learn to take that check down. Just take it. You got guys that can make moves. But there were some other times, which I think probably fucking his head up, that the check down was right there, but he also had a defender in his fucking face.
Completely agree. And it's also just important to get the offense in rhythm. That's the other thing about a check down is you get Jahan a touch, you get Curtis a touch, you get Terry a touch, you get yourself a little completion streak, and everyone feels engaged, right? I mean, even at the pro level, you just need some touches sometimes to be awake and involved. And maybe you think it's childish, but it's true. I mean, it's human emotion at the end of the day. You want the ball, especially at a skill player position. Just give him the fucking ball early. So hopefully Scott makes that adjustment. Thank you for the comment, David. It was a really awesome one. Thank you so much.
Please comment some more, even if you're not a Commanders fan.
Yeah.
Who are you a fan of?
David, we'd love to know. Please comment on this video with who you are a fan of here. Now we're going to move on to Sandman. He, in reference to Carson, quit on the team after getting paid. That's why Philly hates him. And there actually is some history over there where Carson requested a trade because he felt like, you know, the organization was moving on to Jalen slowly but surely. I guess I understand where that's coming from and where maybe Philly hatred is for him. But the guy put up a near MVP season, would have been MVP if he hadn't gotten hurt. Do they win the Super Bowl with Carson Wentz? That is a separate question. Because you've seen plenty of amazing, we just talked about Cam Newton, right? Amazing regular season performances, and then you just fall short in the Super Bowl. Maybe he doesn't, but I mean, I think he did enough in Philly that he shouldn't be as hated as he is, surely, right?
That's the same way I get you. I just think he's misunderstood. I'm not going as far as to say that I knew everything that was happening at the Philadelphia locker room, but when you hear from certain players afterwards about what was happening in the locker room on that run, and then you hear about what happened specifically about what they said he said about Nick Foles on that run, you can chalk that up to people not understanding other people's humor. And I do think Carson and what happened in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is one of the toughest fucking places to play sports. It's hard to be an endearing character. I'm not going to say it's hard. Look, it's a tough spot to be in Philly, okay? You got to be a special kind of breed of dude. I'm not putting Carson Wentz in Ben Simmons territory, but it would have been hard for any of us to have a season like he's having and then have somebody else come out and finish it. And then you have everyone kind of doubting your ability to get back there when you had another guy that had the success. Then they draft another guy after you had some struggles, even though you're supposed to be the guy going forward. I think that would rock anybody's fucking head. Now, that's what makes special quarterbacks. Special quarterbacks are supposed to have the blinders on and just work at it, right?
I mean, but think about Rodgers in Love, right? I mean, the man puts up 2 back-to-back MVP seasons. Those blinders are fucking on. Everyone thought he was washed. Not everyone, but people thought he was washed.
No, I've got the same problems with Rodgers as we've been had with Rodgers. So it's clearly showing
right.
the same
I forgot your take on Rodgers. That's right.
Yeah, okay. It's Rodgers. Just he's not great with wide receiver development. That's the nicest way I can put it.
Okay, this is a separate conversation. Anyway. Well, we really appreciate the comments, Sandman, and then we conclude, last but certainly not least, Ridge, wear your helmet at, with another comment. Ron is always sleep on the sidelines. Literally Joe Biden if he was a head coach. He's a great dude. I just got a text which blocked that. He's a great dude, but he's not going to lead us out of this cycle of mediocrity. Every week a new issue with this team comes up. Defense, O-line, coaching, QB play. A sign of a not good team. A few years into a new regime, you should be able to tell if a team is on an upward trajectory. Look at Buffalo, Miami, Philly, Cincy, San Diego, LA Chargers. Won't be long before we can't pay Jahan, Terry, entire D-line, etc., and our non-existent window is closed. Snyder will surely find a way to stab Ron and get him out of here like he did with Jay Gruden after a few years of no results. I want to beat Dallas, but if we lose to Cooper Rush, whole thing will go off the rails sooner, which may be better. P.S., and this is a shout out to last week's comment where Pally for Life said, Ridge, wear your helmet out is super annoying. At Pally for Life, square up then. Thank you, Ridge, wear your helmet at, for the comment. As always, you got a little chuckle out of KDot there. I appreciated it. We might be the first comment section where we actually have a real life fight because of our section. And I'm down too, especially if I know who the two people are.
Mm-hmm. Look, can you name those teams he named again?
Yeah, I would have to pull it back up, but I believe it was Buffalo, Miami. He said San Diego, but LA, Cincinnati, and it might be Philly as well. I think those were the teams.
So all those teams that he named, I'm not counting Philly in that.
Nailed it. Yep, those were the 5.
Philly. So Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert.
Well, Jalen Hurts is there right now.
Jalen Hurts.
But I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
So Tua is the only one, and we don't know if this Miami thing is going to continue because I look at the opponents that they play and I look at them and I'm like,
Jalen's still got some question marks. He had a really good game. He's had a really good start, but you can't say the question marks are gone.
Right.
Yet.
So I mean, look, the thing with Ron is that the apathy that it feels as though he has, not getting the challenge flag out and not feeling the sense of urgency from him is going to be frustrating as shit. But I'm not a guy that believes that everybody has to be rah, rah, rah at the coaching position and head coach in order to get anything done. I looked at like the Tony Dungy's. There are guys that can be more calm in their demeanor. They don't need to be running around like Mike Vrabel or Dan Campbell to show that they're doing anything. It's about how you delegate. And to me is that Ron has shown this year, to me, like I said, is the litmus test. I need to be able to look at this year and say that we've moved significantly in one direction. So far, does it feel like a repeat to a certain degree of the last 2 years? Absolutely, but I have no idea how the season's ending just yet. It's too early.
Yeah, I would agree. It is too early, but I can also understand where Ridge wearing your helmet at is coming from. You know, like it is frustrating. And I think the fans have felt frustrated and understandably so in the ways in which we have lost and to, you know, the historic Detroit Lions, if you will, just, you know, being perennial losers. And then the Eagles, you know, we talked a lot about this Carson Wentz revenge game that the media came up with and just how much importance there was to at least play a competitive game with Philly at the very least. And it wasn't really, right? Like, it's been tough. It's been a tough couple of weeks. And once again, a win against Dallas could remedy all of that. But this was District Divided, a DC sports podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am Amit. That is KDot. As KDot had mentioned, please like, share, subscribe to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And as always, comment because we love reading them. We love getting into it. It's a great time. And we love the community that it provides to us as well as you guys. As we build one big, happy District Divided family over here. So come out with episodes twice a week. We got the Monday episodes, of course, day after. And then we've got the Friday 2 p.m. episodes like this one is previewing the matchup ahead. So until next Monday, take it easy, enjoy Dallas week, and maybe celebrate a dub together.
Synth pop is awesome. Synthwave.
So here's what's on the agenda. I'm getting another beer. This time, KDot, I'm going to give you complete free reign on what you would like to do with the time. Because last time, you didn't know what to do, and so you were just silent. I did love hearing it when editing, but you got a free mic for about 30 seconds over here, okay? Floor is yours.
Cool. So right before the pod went off, I had talked about how Synthwave is the shit. Look. There's a guy named Ryan Elder. If you don't know him, you need to be familiar. He's a composer for Rick and Morty. He's also done some TV shows, things like that.
Can't hear you. Keep going.
The motherfucker is a straight up G when it comes to composing stuff, and especially composing 80s sounding synth wave and synth pop music. Look, if you're a Rick and Morty fan, you probably know these 2 episodes. The episode that came out last week with Night Family. There's the score that he has in that episode is available on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. It's the shit. And if you go back to Battle of Blood Ridge, has a track that is the shit, and you need to be familiar The motherfucker makes some solid music, and he needs to do
Are
a
you
fucking
talking about
Marvel
synth
movie.
pop some more?
I am absolutely talking about Synthwave and Ryan Elder.
Of course you are. Well, hey, that's on me for giving you that opportunity. Listen, I wanted to
It
talk
made me
about
write
lucid
a
dreaming.
movie. All right, good.
Oh, right.
No. We can talk about lucid dreaming.
No. We got to talk about your movie first. Okay. So for those that don't know, KDot last week, returning viewers know, had a dream about marrying Rachel McAdams. Since then,
was it last week or this week? Hold on, it was just Monday. We haven't gone that far.
Oh my God, it was Monday.
Yeah, please,
KDot?
you're fucking my head up so badly right now. It's the timelines.
Go ahead. Floor is
hold on,
again.
I had a dream about Rachel McAdams, whatever. But I've been, due to relationship issues, and I am not a person that I was telling Amit before the podcast. I'm not a person that's ever bored. There's never a part of me that's ever bored doing anything because there's so much that I want to go and do, right? Whether it be like making music or writing, even going for a drive. Like I just find entertainment in so many things. So because I was listening to my Ryan Elder synth pop from the Rick and Morty episodes and I smoked a little bit of good stuff, I was chilling really late at night and these ideas and visions and images started washing over me. And I have now almost completed a first draft. I've got the outline and everything of a movie that I'm writing that's like 80s inspired, cyberpunkish. It's basically like a cyberpunk version of Ryan Gosling's movie Drive, Nicholas. Look, I think I have something. I think I have gold right here, and I'm guarding it very closely because I don't want it to be shat on just yet. There are a couple character things that I'm trying to work out, but every night that I'm getting high, I'm writing more of this story. I love the name. I'm not going to say the name just yet.
Okay.
But I fucking think the name is so good.
I have heard the name, and I really like it. So...
Thank you.
You know, and soon people will. But I just want to be clear. KDot began writing this after the episode. We are recording on a Thursday. So he has a full draft, essentially.
Just the first draft. You're still really, there's like, I'd have to rewrite this thing 10 times.
I'm just here to say I'm fucking proud of you. I mean, the amount of time and effort you would have put into this script, I can't wait to see how this turns out.
Yeah, most of the dialogue.
Can I be in the movie? Be an extra. I don't care.
So that's the thing. I'm not prepared to create anything. Maybe I should
just wrote a script. What are you talking about? Of course you're prepared to create. You're literally creating on the fly.
Like, man, see, this is where this. So you're making it too real. So like, it's. Here's the thing. I know I am a creative, right? So like, in high school, I got into Duke Ellington School of the Arts. For people there in the Washington area, you know where that is.
And it's legit.
I got in when I was looking at high schools. That was the high school I get into. And I remember there was a classmate. Hey, look at you. You have to play, right? You can play some?
No, once I get better, I'm just,
fair enough.
Duke Ellington, I'm just showing a guitar. They do stuff like this.
But I remember being at Hardy Middle School. I was in Mr. Pope's office, the principal there. And the mother of a friend that I had ever since elementary school found out that I wasn't attending Duke Ellington and I was going to go to Wilson because of their ROTC program.
Right.
And she yelled at me in the principal's office. Another parent yelled at me in the principal's office, said I would regret it, that you have to be creating stuff. And the thing is, if I look back at anything I've ever done with any true form of regret, because I like where I'm at right now, I should have went to Duke Ellington. And I know that would have effectively completely altered my life because I would have not hung out with any of the Palisades guys. I don't think me and you were doing this podcast.
Probably not.
But that is something. So every once in a while I dive into the creativity thing. And that's just sort of always been my outlet. This is not the first thing I've written. There are screenplays I have one that's complete. That's absolutely complete. It's gone through, been proofread, been told that it's pretty decent. I still don't have any faith in it, but that's the thing. My confidence level, just not where it needs to be most of the time.
I have a question about the screenplay that is complete. Could you cast your top 3 stars in it and we can have the commenters guess what the plot is. Just based off how you cast it. Okay, Rachel McAdams is in this.
I mean, it's so. This is the thing. So what I've
this
just
could be fun. This could be fun for the commenters if you just give them a top 3 and they have to go. This is what the plot is.
So like this movie this thing that I just wrote this week, being the 80s synth pop revenge flick, driving, things like that. It's the way I feel. Wow, this is gonna sound so terrible. It's the way that I assume. I'm not saying it's as good as. I promise you, it's not. But it's the way I think Quentin Tarantino felt about himself when he was writing like Reservoir Dogs, which is like, This is not some grand thing where it's like I have some deep emotional thing that I have to get out. As much as I'm a huge fan of movies, I think some people have fucked up the way they've done these movies, and I think I figured out how to do them cooler. That's the vibe I'm with this. Okay?
I love that energy too. Okay.
So that's the vibe that I feel with this.
I see
okay?
you. Yeah.
The screenplay that I have from a couple, like it's 4 years now, that's just been kind of sitting.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more of an opposite thing. It is a indie movie. It is a full-blown, I think I could probably shoot that movie with an iPhone and be okay. Like, so yeah, it has a main character. It's sort of semi-autobiographical to a certain portion of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind Rachel McAdams being in it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, so
okay, so Rachel McAdams is in, but who else?
Knowing that it's without giving the entire plot away as far as like what period of my life.
You're not giving any of the plot away. Don't.
I got it.
No.
I'm not. But knowing that I did say this, that it's semi-autobiographical for a certain particular portion of my life. Knowing that, who would you cast? Is me, because it's basically somebody that's got to. Now, I didn't write it thinking me. I actually had an actor in mind.
Who was the actor?
So stupid. God damn it.
You don't really impress you.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Now, I know that I'm not Joseph Gordon-Levitt, okay?
Okay.
Far from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But there have been some late nights where I'm a member of his website and app called Hit Record. And I've gotten to speak to Joseph Gordon-Levitt a few times. Really late at night, as he's asked to record certain things or giving me feedback on stuff that I have recorded. Mm-hmm. And I think during that time period and occasionally talking to him, I think it kind of glommed on to what it is that I was envisioning with the story, and I kind of wrote it down.
Was he rehearsing for Don John while talking to you?
I think this is post Don John.
Okay.
But he's an actor.
I didn't know what was getting him going. I have no idea.
I've always loved him as an actor. I mean, ever since he was
he's good.
Third Rock from the Sun, I'm a huge fan of his. There's just a certain energy that I want from it, and I think he might even be too cool for it. But
come on now. No. Okay, so you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you got Rachel McAdams. We just need one more.
So I'm thinking about the cast, or thinking about the plot and the characters. Rachel McAdams was one. Florence Pugh.
Oh my God. Okay.
And she's my number one. I love her so much.
Oh, she's awesome.
If anyone follows me on IG, I have been harping how big Florence Pugh is going to be for the last.
She's a superstar.
4.5, 5 years, and now she's finally hit big.
Yep.
I don't know if you ever knew this. So sidebar before we should probably wrap up, but years ago, back in like middle school, there was a website, I think it still exists, called the Hollywood Stock Exchange. Yep. And with the Hollywood Stock Exchange, you could buy and sell like movie futures and actors and everything. I had so much fucking money because of who it is. So one thing that I pride myself on is me just Kadeen pat himself on Kadeen's jerk off fest, right?
What do you think this is?
I think there are two things that have always been really I'll encompass it in that, and it's going to sound hipster shit. Yeah. I know what's going to be cool. I know what's going to be cool. I know what people are going to resonate with people. I know that to a T. That's why, like, I have 12,000 followers on my Instagram. It could be more than this, but I neglect the shit out of it because when I'm feeling sad or anything, the last thing I want to do is fucking go on Instagram.
Fair enough.
My thing is always knowing what musical artists are going to be big. I'm really good at predicting that. So much so that I've had multiple friends and people that I don't know say that I should be an A&R for a record label. That I should absolutely be an A&R for a record. And this is back from 7th grade, skipping school to go to Brooklyn to go to fucking basement concerts. I know it's going to be fucking cool.
There it is.
I know it's going to be fucking cool. And it's the same thing with actresses and actresses. I can have a pretty good idea who's going to be big. When they can, and you know who I was really right about? Kristen Stewart.
There you go.
Mad early.
If I may, before we wrap up, and so once again for commenters, would love to hear what you think that plot's about. Again, it's Rachel McAdams, it's Florence Pugh, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. What's the movie about? Simple as that. I gotta ask.
The Rachel McAdams casting doesn't make sense from an age standpoint, but I'll leave it alone.
Okay, there's a hint. Okay. All right, so. Knowing that, right? I mean, you talked about Hollywood Stock Exchange. You talked about knowing what's going to be good, who's going to be big. You talked about Florence Pugh, and you've been harping on her, and now she's a superstar. She's finally made it. Do you have any names you want to drop right now?
So this guy, the name that I will drop right now, because I think he is fairly known, but not known the way that I think he will be, because I think he's in this.
Timothée Chalamet. No, I'm just
kidding. I was actually just listening to a podcast of whether or not he's actually any good, but I think he is.
No, he is good. Anyway,
Glenn Powell. So
I fucking love Glenn Powell. Are you serious?
Glenn Powell to me is somebody that I think is going to explode. Now, awesome. He doesn't necessarily have anything that's like coming up that I'm like, all right.
He's older.
He's 33. But
is that it? He looks older than that. I love him.
He carries himself older than that, but he's also, I mean, he's been in movies since what, Dark Knight Rises or some shit? Oh no, he was a kid actor in Spy Kids. I didn't even realize that.
Wait, what? Was he really?
Yeah. But he's probably most, what does it say? Spy Kid. Oh, 3D Game Over. He was the long-fingered boy.
I don't think I saw that one.
I never watched this. But the movie that he was in most recently, the two roles that are probably most known in the movie Hidden Figures, about the black women. He was John Glenn.
John Glenn, right? Yeah.
And then in Top Gun Maverick, he is Hangman.
Yes. Which, of course, everyone loved the newest Top Gun.
And he plays that role fucking perfectly. And it wasn't like if anybody was looking at who got billing in that movie, Cruise, Miles Teller, probably Jennifer Connelly, then him. I think he's right at that stage where if he gets the right fucking role, he's gonna be something serious.
Okay. You know what's funny? Just talking about Glenn Powell. I know we said we'd wrap this up, but I mean we're having a good time. What are we doing here? Have you seen the movie Everybody Wants Some?
Does it sound so familiar?
Well, same guy, Rich Linklater, pretty popular director there, who did Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Did Everybody Want Some?
Oh, yeah.
And Glenn Powell's in it. It's about a college baseball team the weekend before classes start. And they're a top 25 team. And Glenn Powell plays Finn or Finnegan. And he is, to me, the funniest guy in that movie. He absolutely killed it to date. That is my favorite Glenn Powell role.
Really?
Love it. Oh,
I've seen it. I have absolutely.
The movie's fantastic. It is awesome.
I'm not going. I think it's pretty good.
I loved it. I mean, just the energy of it was fantastic, and Glenn Powell in particular is just fantastic in it.
Yeah, it's fucking Linklater. Can't make bad stuff.
He's good, man.
He's amazing. He's one of the best American filmmakers we have.
Which is why I love the film as well.
Yeah, the Before trilogy.
I guess he's got something about Austin, Texas, guys, because Glenn Powell's from Austin, Texas. I want to say McConaughey's from Austin, Texas, too, right?
He's from Texas. Linklater's Texas.
And Linklater's okay, so there it is. I didn't even realize that. So I mean, look at us go. Just making connections left and right over here.
Have you watched the Before trilogy?
No.
That's a motherfucker.
Okay, well, that's my next thing to do. What was the name of the I've forgotten the name of the movie, but I really enjoyed it. The movie that takes place over 24 hours, and they're like, hey, fucking shit. We were talking about The Big Short, similar to The Big Short. It is
Margin Call?
Margin Call. Loved it. So that was your last recommendation to me, and I love Margin Call.
Margin Call. They actually just did 2 weeks ago a rewatchables. Bill Simmons did Margin Call, which I thought was insane timing for when I told you to watch it.
Okay, so not only can you tell who's going to be big, but also whenever you just utter a movie.
It was literally the following week. I was like, holy shit. And it was a great podcast because Martin calls supremely underrated movie. Not underrated. Man. Everybody that sees it loves it. It's just it wasn't watched a lot because it was one of the first movies that like went on VOD.
Okay. Gotcha.
And The Big Short, I mean, I think Margin Call is actually a better movie, if I'm being completely honest. But The Big Short is just
great.
The Big Short is just a good. It's just a movie, right?
They had
and it's
so
really
many stars in it too. They'd be like, here's Anthony Bourdain, here's Margot Robbie explaining like a term, like, and it was
Shandor,
right?
That's my guy.
What's his name from? Before Succession. You know who I'm talking about? He's in it. He's with Steve Carell.
Oh, in Big Short. Oh, Jeremy Strong.
Jeremy Strong. Thank you. I was forgetting his name. Yeah,
he's
Jeremy
one of
Strong.
my favorite characters in that movie. When the conversation he has with Ryan Gosling. Well, Gosling's in the gym.
Gosling killed it in that movie.
How you fucking us? What are you getting at us? Is he chewing the gum? Just obnoxiously? Yeah. Oh, amazing.
Gosling was one of the best before. Like, I didn't expect Gosling to be able to do
Gosling has been in my mind the entire week as I've been writing this fucking 80s synth.
Okay, so maybe he almost made it. Oh,
he's aging out.
We were talking about the perfect screenplay.
The one that I already did. Yep.
Right. It's perfect. Obviously, it's you, dude.
I'm not saying it's perfect. That's why nobody's seen it since I was in the writing process.
Well, maybe it's too good for eyes. Have you ever thought about that?
You're not seeing it anytime soon.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe a bit too good for my eyes. I like my eyes. I don't want them to burn from being just overpowered by the power of the sun.
I think it's too personal a movie for me.
Okay, so we've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We've got Rachel McAdams with the age hint. We've got Florence Pugh. And we've got the hint that this is maybe too personal for you.
At least a period of my life.
Okay. Well, on that note,
we are going to go cast myself as a white guy. That makes no goddamn sense. All right, good.
Yeah, no. We'll give you a few days to figure that out. Until then, we'll take it easy.
Riz Ahmed.